TSMC is investing $200 billion, and with this trip, we're adding over $1 trillion more in terms of investment into our country and buying our products. And, you know, nobody makes military equipment like us. We have the best military equipment, the best missiles, the best rockets, the best everything, best submarines.
The president says America's relationship with the Middle East is about to change, and the numbers are already pointing to one of the largest foreign investment hauls in U.S. history. We're talking trillions with a T. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Big Money Show, the Hot Money Show, with my hot co-hosts, Taylor Riggs, Brian Bremberg, Jackie DeAngelis, and with us for this entire hour, Capitalist Pig hedge fund manager, Jonathan Hoenig. The president is fresh off a headline-grabbing stop in Saudi Arabia with a $600 billion in commitments from Riyadh alone. And the wins keep coming. Qatar just signing a $200 billion deal with Boeing for jets, the largest order in the company's history. More money heading for American businesses and American workers. President Trump painting a new picture of the Middle East. Less about endless wars, more about investment and billion-dollar partnerships. And the message is clear. America is open for business. Jonathan, our current economic model requires this, that foreigners recirculate and reinvest our trade imbalance in the United States. They, reinvest that trade deficit in the U.S., and that's what keeps the dollar high and stock prices high, and it keeps money available for startups.
Yeah, and
this is what kind of makes America work.
Trade. I mean, trade
but investment as well.
And that's exactly what this is. And kudos to the president. I mean, he's demonstrating trade is good, foreign trade is good. And what's interesting is a lot of the ETFs that track these Middle Eastern markets, they're actually doing very well this year. UAE is up about 11%. KWT, that's Kuwait, is up about 16%. So, look, you're dealing in a part of the world which has had a lot of unsavory characters historically, not exactly rights respecting. So to the extent that the president is modeling democracy, he's modeling capitalism, and he's bringing trade to the Middle East, my hat's off to him.
Jonathan said it, who wants this. So the Syria's now leader, Ahmad al-Sharaa, he's a terrorist. He's a designated terrorist. He was in prisons, including Abu Ghraib in Iraq. And he met with the president, and the sanctions against Syria have been dropped. That will likely require congressional action as well. It's just astonishing. Trust but verify. I think that Kellyanne Conway said that. That's not original to President Trump. I think it's original to Ronald Reagan. But nevertheless, this is a president who is willing to do things that other leaders have not.
Absolutely. And I think what he's trying to do, Dagan, is not only bring the money in and bring the investment in, as he has been doing, and this has been a very successful trip for him. But with respect to his foreign policy, he wants to box Iran in the way he boxed China in with trade. He realizes that to get them to back off their nuclear program, there may be an out-and-out war. People don't want that. The president doesn't want that. So what do? You try to create as many allies, picking off one country at a time that you can in the Middle East in order to put Iran in a position where they will be subdued. And I think that's what he's trying to do with Syria. He realizes that the players in the Middle East are not all innocent, not in Syria, not in Qatar, not even in Saudi Arabia. But he also realizes that you have to be able to have political alliances with these countries in order to stabilize the region. And he does it in a really remarkable way because they fear him. And that is why you're seeing all the pomp and circumstance. That is why I believe the Qataris are giving him a very expensive jet, because this is not President Biden anymore. And also sort of underscores how important it is to have a strong leader, a leader that is feared on the world stage, because you get a lot done that way. Had we had a leader like this when Russia was thinking about invading Ukraine, I don't think the outcome would have been the same as we've seen it over the course of the last 3 years. So I think this has been remarkable for him. And, you know, I look forward to seeing how it all progresses and how he handles the Iran situation.
Does it worry you, and you don't have to answer this, but does it worry you where Israel is in all of this? Particularly, Israel clearly is not happy with the rapprochement with Syria.
I would never be able to say that word.
I also
but I know
rehearsed
exactly what you mean.
I also rehearsed how to say Qatar. Although I can't
There's a large
say it.
debate over
Is
how to say it.
It was with the head of one of the tourism organizations in Qatar.
I get annoyed when people say Qatar.
Yes, that's incorrect. Or
Lots of
gutter.
people say it, though.
They
I
do.
hear it all the time. Okay, notwithstanding all pronunciation, because I'm a Midwesterner and I'm going to get everything wrong here on the pronunciation, I'm not worried about Israel. I hear that they don't love, I believe that they don't love the rapprochement, especially with Syria. And I don't blame them for that. I mean, this guy is historically a bad actor. So President Trump is doing a very President Trump thing. He said it yesterday in his speech, and all of us kind of sat back and listened when he said it. He said, I don't have any permanent enemies, okay? He's going to give this guy a chance. I think if this guy doesn't live up to the deal, and look, he said, I want normalized relations with Israel. I want you to kick out all foreign terrorists. I want you to help defeat Islamic State. If this guy doesn't do that, I don't think President Trump's going to have a ton of patience with him, okay? So I understand why Israel's uptight. But I also believe President Trump is the staunchest ally of Israel that we've had in the White House since President Trump. And I'm not worried that he's going to abandon Israel. What I love about the whole deal here, and this goes back to what the president did with Doge, okay? We are not doing foreign aid with these countries. We are doing capitalism with these countries. They can put money in and they can benefit and we can benefit, but it's the end of take U.S. taxpayer money and give it to these guys. And it's the beginning of take their money, bring it here and do something mutually beneficial. And to me, that resets the whole foreign policy table. And I love it. And I think the president will go along if they go along. And when they don't play by the rules, he will let them know that's not okay.
I'm going to pick up exactly where you left off, Brian, because that's sort of been my theme. When we think about traditional foreign policy, fighting wars, whatever, this is foreign policies. It comes down to investments in economic policy. And one of the bigger notes I read this morning is when we are doing AI in the Middle East, that means China has a lower opportunity. When we are slowing exports of old H20 NVIDIA chips to China, Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, Qatar, maybe not Qatar, getting the brand.
You were going to say Qatar before the show.
I say Qatar, but now
You're a Qatar sayer.
really embarrassed.
A+.
Thank you, Jackie. The Middle East gets top-notch NVIDIA chips, right? So the more that we go in, the less opportunity China can go in. That is the new economic foreign policy of today. Look, a brand new total addressable market, right? For NVIDIA, Palantir, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, Tesla. Saudi Arabia is the next major area of penetration, a lot of people are saying, right? Move over China. Saudi now wants in on the AI game. And so you read some of these headlines and it finally, to me, makes sense, Brian. I love that we're not doing handouts and loans. We're doing investments. Buy some Boeing planes, we'll give you some NVIDIA chips, right? Here's the game. And we're sort of upping that level from an economic perspective and, frankly, from a market perspective that loves it. Tech's on a tear.
Yeah, I mean, Taylor, I'll quickly just say, we could see a transformation in the Middle East, not so dissimilar from what you saw in China in like the mid-'90s up until the early aughts. You know, the more they liberalized the Chinese economy, the more wealthy all Chinese got, and the stock market, of course, in China took off. So that's what I'm excited about the president doing here. He could bring some good old-style Western capitalism to an area of the world, the Middle East, which has really seen none of it. I mean, the way they treat women, the way they treat gays in the Middle East is still abhorrent to this day. So I'd love to see a cultural and a financial revolution, and the President Trump could lead the way.
Saudi Arabia turned its back, literally and figuratively, on the United States when Joe Biden was in office. I raised the point yesterday. But we not only are now facing and engaging, if not like shaking hands and hugging the kingdom and other nations. But we need that money to come into the United States. That we need investments that you call it the foreign net trade creditors to reinvest that money in the U.S. That keeps our asset prices high. That keeps startups happening. I know I'm repeating myself, but it makes it easier to raise money here, borrow money here, and even do real estate development deals here.
Yep.
Can I make one more point
Yes.
just about the price of oil, which is we were talking about the break even being a little bit higher here in the United States. It's even higher in Saudi Arabia because they don't collect any kind of income tax from the people. They use the oil revenue to be able to pay for all their spending and things that they have to do. They know with President Trump bringing oil prices down, that's going to be a little bit of a crunch for them. And if that sustains long term and isn't changed by, say, another president that comes in next term, they're going to feel that crunch. They need to expand. They need to make these investments in order to be able to basically sustain the lifestyle they've been living.
You should do an energy special on that next week. Have you ever thought about that? That could be really good.
I think I am.
Okay.
Yeah, you are.
I like that.